For many people, social media is used each day. This could be to communicate with others, post creative pictures, or even just generally to explore. But have you ever thought about what it is in each of these logos that interests us so much? Is it the colour? Is it the shape? Or is it the fact we just see that logo and correlate it to the app? Today we will see if logos are a major component in marketing these social medias, and why. Today we are going to focus on the three main social media logos. These are Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Starting with Facebook, the logo's history starts from the man Mike Buzzard. He manned a group designing the first Facebook logo alongside Mark Zuckerberg in 2005. As of course, there were many modifications. There were two main aspects to the logo they created, the colour and the letter. The main reason behind the colour being due to Mark Zuckerberg's eye condition, deuteranopia. Deuteranopia is a form of colour blindness that makes it difficult for someone to distinguish between colours. However, the one colour that Mark Zuckerberg can quickly identify is blue, which is why it's continuously used throughout the logos. The letter F was used to represent the connection of friends, which is why it's the main component of the logo, as it's the company's main concept. Leading on from Facebook's logo, we have Instagram's. Instagram's logos have changed lots over the years, but the first logo they created was in 2010, the main person behind the design of this logo being Kevin Systrom. Its design was purely based off of its Polaroid one-step camera, which was known for its bright rainbow stripe. The idea behind the name to add to the logo, however, was from both Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, coming up with the name as a bridge between Instant and Telegram. Finally, we have YouTube, which was founded by Chad Hurley, Steve Chen, and George Karaman. The logo for this is quite simple yet effective, including only three simple colours. The creators opted towards a very simple font type, that being Gothic No. 2, as well as the only other design aspect being a red light box that had been rounded at the corners to represent that of a TV screen. Technology has vastly improved in all areas, especially social media. We now have a much larger audience online than 10 or so years earlier. Social media has become a large part of our world, being used for social interactions as well as advertisement to millions, meaning that other areas around that have had to develop to sustain that workload. In terms of logos specifically, graphic designers are hired to create and develop for each company. Over the years, you can see all of the logo evolutions. Not much overall has changed except from Instagram. Over time there has been a large influx of younger people using the platform, meaning as time gradually moves forward, they have to re-evaluate their tactics. For Instagram, there came the issue of Polaroids becoming out of date. In order for them to update their logo, they decided to use a more up-to-date, simpler lens, which in turn makes it look more modern and eye-catching for the younger audience. However, for the other logos, Facebook and YouTube, not much has changed, as their aspects and morals have stayed the same. Although the social media behind the logos has developed rapidly, along with technology, there hasn't been any striking changes in the logos. As we have spoken of before, each of the logos had a main designer. For the Facebook logo we have Mike Buzzard, for the Instagram logo we have Kevin Systrom, and for the YouTube logo we have Chad Hurley. Mike Buzzard was the main designer and overlooker onto the project of designing the logo. The logo as such was the first big milestone in his career. Currently he is working as a design manager at Google, showing that his logo definitely helped him to build a list of contacts. Kevin Systrom is a well-known computer programmer, having contributed to the design and production of Instagram and the Instagram logo. He then moved on to a career in Facebook, where he stayed for 6 years until he reached the point he felt he wanted to do something different. He decided to focus on parenting, whilst also aiming to improve on himself. Furthermore, he also was spending his time learning new hobbies, like his passion for flying. Finally, we have Chad Hurley, the person who designed not only the YouTube logo, but also the PayPal one. He stepped down as CEO in 2010, allowing Salah Kamanga to take over the position, then moving on to projects such as investing on the Formula One team, and 3 years later creating his own editing software on smartphones, Mixbit. Focusing down onto the main aspects of logo design, we have three things: colour, typography and shape. The colour of each of these apps is vital to attract an audience. For Facebook, The use of the blue and white was supposed to convey optimism and communication. The colour for Instagram started with a classic white Polaroid camera with a rainbow stripe. As time went forward, they had to create a more up-to-date recognisable camera, which is where the white outline was chosen. The rainbow aspect of the Instagram logo was drawn from the Polaroid camera's noticeable rainbow stripe. This was to represent Instagram's main feature of sharing photos with each other. The colours for YouTube's logo are red for passion and excitement, black for power, and white for purity and harmony. A nice list of colours that connect in a unique way to give a small insight to what YouTube wanted to be seen as. For typography, we can focus onto both YouTube and Facebook, as they're the only ones with the letters. Facebook's typical F in the logo was made to convey how you can speak and make friends throughout the app. YouTube's main typography focus was based around the font Gothic No. 2, designed by Maurice Fuller Benton in 1903. Finally, we have the shape of these logos. The F for Facebook, the Polaroid camera, and the TV-like screen for YouTube, all invented and designed to replicate a concept that the company wants to provide to their audience. That mainly being communication and fun, to entice a bigger audience to want to install and utilise the app. For my attempt at the logo, I first started by doing some small research. I knew I wanted some sort of paintbrush and pencil design. I first created some basic sketches across the board of what I wanted. After sketching these, I opened up Photoshop to try and draw a complete version. On Photoshop, I drew the exterior circle and sketched around some cartoon pencils and paintbrushes to get a realistic effect. Finally adding in the text of my name, meaning the logo is finished.
Question 1. What are 3 major components of logo design? That's a really good question. A good logo should work with the minimum of fuss. So we're looking at things like really basic shape, outline, forms, colour to a degree, although tone can replace colour in a good logo, and a personal favourite of mine, really good use of typography. But ultimately it's about composition and layout, I think, as much as anything else. Oh, and also there needs to be some sort of level of understanding. In other words, I think probably a better way of putting that would be, when you design a logo, it needs to have some sort of relevance in terms of its style, something that it says which might not be instantly apparent. Question 2. Do you feel personally that logo design is important for advertising? Yeah, if you've got a good logo or a good branding, it's money in the bank. I've had this conversation with students before when they're designing work, and if you look at a really strong brand or a really strong identity, the one that usually springs to mind is the Coca-Cola logo. That swash and that typographic form, it's what we call a logotype. It's where someone's basically taken a typography or a font and they've manipulated or stretched or evolved it in a way that it no longer bears a strong resemblance to any standardized typeface. If you've got something like that, you can then take it and you can apply it to anything else. Question 3, have you created any logos in the past? If you have, do you have any advice on creating one? Not for a long time, actually. My background in branding and graphics ended quite a few years ago. One of the things that I think is absolutely vital when you create a logo for someone is to spend quite a bit of time talking to the client. Clients are a double-edged sword, especially if they tell you they don't really know what they want and just come up with something, because if you make something, almost straight away you'll be told then that that's not necessarily what they wanted. So my initial advice would be, if you get a client that doesn't know what they want, make something but don't put too much time into it, or maybe thumbnail out a load of really simple ideas, and then you can kind of funnel into the idea that the client might subconsciously want but didn't even realize that they wanted at the time. Another thing is, again, if you can get something which has kind of got connotation to it, something that's got meaning to it within the logo, that's a great thing to have. I made one for a precision engineering company years ago, and it relied heavily on the way that engineering blueprints were made back in those days. So there was kind of a style that mimicked that. If you've got something that people can look at and it can kind of tell you a bit about what their business is without necessarily having to spell it out, I think that's a really valuable thing to have.
Linking back into the introduction, we can now answer the question, are logos a major component in marketing these social media apps, and why? I feel like, with all the knowledge we have learnt, that yes, these logos do market these apps all individually. The Polaroid camera for Instagram to show the app's well-known ability to share photos, the YouTube logo representing passion and entertainment to attract people to want to make their own videos, the colours of Facebook advertised to create an optimistic feel and to further emphasise speaking with others. All these small features contribute to how important a logo is to represent the company's personality and purpose.